Welcome back viewers, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries and anyone with ears or other sound detection organs. Hope you enjoy. We are continuing with Chaos and Mayhem written by Lord Henry 7878. There is a link to the playlist in the doobly-doo. Chaos and Mayhem, a sexy space babes story part 4.
The Revolution Begins, Part 1.
The revolution didn't begin with bombs or shooting or violence. It began with a pregnant woman in a hospital and a desperate father-to-be. Let me explain. It had been 2 months since that first day the Shilvati invaded. Uncle Bill, Bob, Meg and I'd all been living in the woods since then, jumping from cabin to cabin, campground to campground as we evaded the Shilvati's drones, satellites, and animal handlers. We stole what we could, and made do with the rest. And we learned some good skills. First and foremost we learned the hard way how to avoid detection. That was a biggie. A lot of it was sneaking around, running from patrols, smearing ourselves with animal shit to avoid the alien dog thing's noses. I even figured out how to tell if there was a satellite or spaceships overhead. Turned out the way they were orbiting Earth, spaceships would be overhead for 6 minutes every hour and 15 minutes, satellites were overhead for 12 minutes at a pattern of 30 minutes, 12 minutes, 30, repeat. We figured it out all from watching the light reflect off them at night and listening in on chatter on stolen comms devices. After a while, we figured out a chart of when to stay undercover, and thus not seen. We even learned each other's skills. I'd learned to be a preschool teacher, so I taught Meg everything I knew about childcare and helped her prep for the big day. Bob taught us how to hunt, Uncle Bill taught us to fight. Even Meg got in on the act. She'd been a mechanic before the Shilvati came, so she taught us some engineering and auto repair stuff when she could, what with the pregnancy and all. Suffice to say, it was a productive 2 months. But like all things, it had to come to an end. I was outside with Meg, learning how to replace some of the electrical doohickeys in the truck. So the most important thing is to disconnect our...
You okay?
I pulled my head out from under the hood. Yeah, I've just been having this pain in my chest lately. Like around here. She moved her hand in circles around her whole rib type area. Is this a normal prego thing? No. That might be a really bad prego thing. Anything else wrong? Headaches? Anything feel heavy? Generally, pregnancy would fuck a girl up, but some things were worse than others. Yeah, I've been having some headaches, and now that you mention it, my hands and feet have been feeling kinda heavy, yeah. Meg braced herself for some bad news.
Shit. We're gonna get you to a hospital. There's no way to know for sure without some tests, but you could have preeclampsia. If you don't get treated, you could lose the baby.
Tom, thank God you're here. Meg turned and headed inside to the cabin. Bobby. I followed her inside. Bob and Uncle Bill were dissecting a drone they'd shot down. It was a little thing about the size of the quadrotters I'd played with in my college's drone club, but more dangerous. Meg was already telling Bob what I said. Bob looked extremely nervous. Well, he slowly said. That settles it. We need to go into town. Sturgis County General's down in Grimsville. I mean, it's not too far a drive.
Yes, but it's also Alien Central.
Uncle Bill retorted.
The perps have been hunting us for months now. You go back to Grimsville, you're taking a massive risk.
But we stay here, Meg interjected, we risk losing the baby. She looked to me for confirmation.
Meg's right. Her life could be at risk too.
It's settled then. Bob cut in. We're going to Grimsville. And you can't say shit about it.
Jesus, I wasn't saying no.
Uncle Bill threw up his hands in defeat.
Just saying be careful.
What if just spitballing here dash?
My mind wandered as I thought up a plan. What if Uncle Bill and I went ahead to do a little scouting? Bob, you stay with Meg, then when we're sure it's safe you two head out to the hospital.
That's
Uncle Bill thought a bit more.
actually not a bad idea.
And that was how Uncle Bill and I wound up driving down Dewgrass Road towards Grimsville. I rode shotgun, .700 nitro in my lap. Not that I could see anything, really. It was dark as fuck out this early in the morning. One of the cabins we looted had yielded a nice thermal scope that was sitting on my rifle, but raising it to my shoulder was a pain inside the truck. So we were pretty much blind. Aside from the run lights, Uncle Bill had turned off all the other lights. Wouldn't do to get spotted driving into town. And yet, we were stopped by a truck in the middle of the road, and a figure walking towards us. In the dim red light, I could see a man wearing fatigues. He tapped on the window, and Uncle Bill opened the window just a crack, nothing much.
What do you want?
We're with the US Army, and, well, you know how things are going. Would you two please step out of the car? The Pentagon is calling for every able-bodied person to join up. So that means you're in the Army now.
I don't think so.
Uncle Bill moved to roll the window up. Get out of the fucking car. Uncle Bill just turned on one of his CCRCDS and turned it way up.
What's that?
He yelled.
I'm old. I can't hear you.
And with that, we drove off, blaring Green River. In retrospect, it would strike me as a little sad that the US military had fallen so far you could repel them with a simple no.
Look how far they've fallen.
Uncle Bill grumbled.
Used to have some dignity.
Could see the lights of the town.
Remember our plan?
Yeah. Go around town, hit places we won't look out of place for information.
I was gonna go back to the bar where this shit all began, the Stoned Elephant. In the meantime though, I took myself a nap while Uncle Bill went and found himself a place to park. Espionage on 30 minutes of sleep was a terrible idea.
The next morning.
We both went our separate ways. It was a short walk into Grimsville, but boy was it a doozy. You remember that scene from Back to the Future where Marty walks into the town in the 50s? It felt like that. What struck me was just how normal everything was. People still went to all their usual places. There was Mrs. Packard opening up the ice cream store. There was Mr. Dollar, closing up the liquor store. And there was Old Man Murphy, slumped against the wall drinking from a brown bag. The only signs of alien presence were the massive armed soldiers everywhere and the holographic signs saying things like "We are not your enemy" and "The Shilvati Imperium welcomes you." If I looked harder, I saw other things: soldiers holding people against the wall while others searched them, or people being stuffed into trucks and hauled away. I made a beeline for the bar. Already, the barflies were there, drinking their Sunday usuals. It must have been Sunday. There was Father Patapsco throwing back a few before church and cranking a few clutch tunes on the jukebox. I sat down. "Can I get ya, hun?" Alice behind the bar cleaned a glass, ostensibly left over from last night.
I'll have a.
I was cut off when the door loudly swung open. 3 large, purple women stood in the doorway. "Oh yeah? Where the men at?" One hollered. "Let's do some shots." The second answered. "Line 'em up. Line 'em up. Line 'em up." The third confirmed. "Great. These bitches must have been off duty, they were out of uniform." 2 wore what appeared to be a black sports bra, while the other had on a tank top in the same shade of black. All 3 were wearing fatigue pants. Alice groaned. "Fuck me." So of course the girls sat down on either side of me. "Hey there, hot stuff." I noticed one had a robot hand. Was she the one I'd chopped up at the gas station?
You talking to me?
I looked around. "We wouldn't be talking to anyone else, sweetie. You're the one we're sitting by." Got a name, little man?
Aye.
Fuck it. Let's just check his ID, number 3 said. ID? I didn't have an ID, I lamented as Robot Hand went to search me. It was obvious she was patting me down, and enjoying it.
I got nothing. Damn, I must have left it at home.
It was a terrible lie and I knew it. Oh shit. Alice dropped behind the bar. That's very dangerous, human. There are bandits in these woods. You wouldn't want to be mistaken for one, would you? That's the Interior's jurisdiction. You want us, believe me. Robot Hand looked at me very intently. Her tone of voice was clear, do what we say and we won't turn you over to the Interior. I'd heard them get mentioned on the radio a few times, the Interior. If they were involved, I had to get out of here. But these bitches weren't gonna let me go. I had to fight my way out. Alice, could I get a beer please? The bartender slid me the beer and dropped back behind the bar. I drained it quickly. What was that about bandits? This was gonna be the stupidest thing I'd ever done. I smashed the bottle into the perp's face on my left. As she clutched her sliced open face, I flipped the now sharpened bottle around and plunged it down into Robot Hand's good hand. The appendage was pinned to the table. You little Arak! She yelled. That was my good hand. And the third girl? The other bar patrons took care of her, but I had to run.
At about the same time,
Uncle Bill had made it into the gym. This place hadn't changed since he was a kid. It had always been a converted garage filled up with all the benches and racks and machines one could need. Except now it was full of shilvati. He pretended to flip through a fitness magazine promising a revolutionary new power clean technique as he observed a perp pressing an impressive amount of weight. He had to admit 10 years ago, he'd been all over that. Uncle Bill had always had a thing for muscular women. But now at 70, he had more important things on his mind like what to yell at kids or how far up to hike his pants. Ha furican ha. And well damn, here came some more shilvati. One in a sports bra was saying something about noble families. He listened in as he pretended to read about the Power Grab 3000 lifting gloves with, quote, improved barbell gripping action. Quite stupid, really. The girls' conversation was far more exciting, and they'd fallen into such silly local habits as speaking English. Noble shit in charge of the hospital. Oh goddess, her? She's a bitch. The hospital, eh? This was important. He walked along, listening in on the two ladies complaining about whoever was at the hospital. He had to let Bob and Meg know, so he slid into the restroom real quick and pulled out his radio. It had a button that would just transmit a tone when pressed. They'd worked out a signal beforehand, 3 long beeps if it was good, 4 shorts if not. He pressed 1, 2, 3, 4. Uncle Bill had just sent the first tone when a large purple mitt slapped the radio out of his hand. Of course, there was a shilvati bitching at him. One in, nothing but a pair of gym shorts. Whatever. This one yelled in purple speak at him.
What's that?
He cupped a hand over his ear for dramatic effect.
I don't understand you. Speak English.
That seemed to confuse the shilvati soldier long enough for Uncle Bill to grab a pair of boxers. He threw it over her eyes and ran for it as she pulled the undies off her head. As he ran out to the gym though, Uncle Bill had another problem. He seemed to have attracted the ire of some more appropriately dressed soldiers. Oh well. Looked like he needed to get to work. Uncle Bill grabbed a 25-pound kettlebell from the shelf next to him and swung. The big metal ball on a handle made a delightful clank as it collided with Zano's chin. He swung again, and another perp's teeth and a tusk went sailing. He wasn't so lucky a third time, however 5 or so massive purple women tackled him, sending him sailing to the ground. Something definitely popped, he lay there groaning as they dragged him off.
As the day wore on, Meg's chest pain had gotten worse.
She and Bob had decided that they couldn't wait any longer. So with the rising sun to their back, they drove into town. The drive had been surprisingly peaceful, and thank God for that. Bobby Tiernan was terrified that any bit of stress could send his wife into an even worse state. Even so, he got her to the hospital in record time. When they got inside, Meg went and took a seat while Bob went to go sign in. He'd finally gotten to the front when he had a nasty shock. ID. The human girl behind the desk looked bored as she popped her gum. Yeah, hold on. He fished in his pocket for his wallet and pulled out his driver's license. Bobby Tiernan prayed he wouldn't be recognized. Thank you, Mr. Tiernan, but I meant the one issued by the Shilvati Imperium. Oh yeah, shit. Think I left it at home? Please, any way you could make an exception? My wife has might have preeclampsia. Any way we could? No is no, Mr. Tiernan. But then the girl grinned. But this is a teaching hospital. I can sign Mrs. Tiernan up for demonstrations instead. We'll get a doctor to look her over to demonstrate how. You will do no such thing. A voice said on the intercom. That is an act of treason and you know it. Oh fucking. Miss Raish can bite my ass, the girl moaned. Sorry sir, now there's nothing we can do. She sighed. Are you serious? My wife and unborn child are gonna die because I didn't have an ID. I am so sorry, sir. Bobby Tiernan had had enough. He reached around to his back and pulled the gun out of his waistband. All right everyone, listen up. Nobody gets in or out until my wife gets the treatment she needs, okay? End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss any episode and do all the other YouTube stuff, visit and support the author, all the relevant links are in the doobly-doo, and comment your opinions, good or bad. And I'll see you next time. And as usual, have a wonderful day.